Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Political Desk at Angelo Live. I'm Yantis Green, the Editor-In-Chief. We are talking politics again. We have an election, a primary election on May 1st of 2022, and we have some contested races locally. One of them is for Justice of the Peace in Precinct 3, which is the northwest quadrant of Tom Green County. And with me today is Martha Muro. Martha is a candidate in the Republican primary for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 3. Welcome, Martha. Glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's talk about who you are. You have a background in law enforcement.
I do.
And this is an opportunity to introduce yourself to a lot of voters, and it's early in the campaign process. You're in a contested race. The incumbent Justice of the Peace, Fred Buck, is not running again. Bless his heart. Thanks for his service, and we wish him the best, but voters have to choose somebody else in Precinct 3. And Martha Muro, who are you? Give us a little bit about your background and your experience.
Okay. So I started working for the jail, the county jail, 2004. Prior to that, I worked 10 years at the Snidel State School.
Oh, okay.
I was a supervisor for 7 of those years.
All right.
And worked 2 years, was hired 2004. Mm-hmm. And then 2006, I put myself through the academy.
Okay.
And so I was working night shift. And so after working night shift, on weekends would go straight, everybody who was going to the same course was straight to the academy. So I did that, ended up passing my my basics, received that. And then 2006, I started working. I went over to the patrol division.
Okay.
I did do about 7 months with the courthouse. And
courthouse
I thought,
security?
yeah, courthouse security, yes. And I was like, okay, there's a little bit more. Does this work? But I want to do a little bit more, give a little bit more out to the community.
Okay.
So then I shifted over to the patrol, and then I did that for a few more years.
Okay.
And then so from actually 2007, I want to say, till 2011, I was promoted to CID, which is criminal investigations.
Right.
And so from 2011 up till 2017 is when I worked for the sheriff's office. And so I left in 2017, started putting more focus towards our business. My husband and I own a small lawn care, or lawn service business.
Okay.
So to try to get more customers in and try to get a little bit more information on, the work itself, right? Mm-hmm. And so then I ended up getting a phone call from the DA's office, was offered a job in October 2017, and so I started working for the Tom Green County District Attorney's Office.
All right, so you are now the senior investigator for the District Attorney's Office, the 119th and the 51st, basically the entire District Attorney's Office in Tom Green County.
Yes, sir, I am.
All right.
I am.
So we have a solid background in law enforcement.
Correct.
And running for a Justice of the Peace office. One of the interesting things about the Justice of the Peace office is it's the people's court. I mean, this is boots on the ground. This is the first level of the judiciary in Texas, and it's got a history all the way back to when Texas began.
Correct.
And one of the interesting things about the JP office, and I get to talk about this because it's my show, but is that Justices of the Peace, and there's only one other judicial office in the state that does not have to have, you don't have to be an attorney. You don't have to have a degree in law. So there's the Justice of the Peace, and then there's the county judge. Correct. And that, if I believe, is an extension of those early days of Texas where there just weren't any lawyers. So somebody had to be a Justice of the Peace. Somebody had to be a county judge, according to the Constitution, and to fill those positions. Fine, upstanding citizens stood up, ran, and filled those spaces where judicial temperament was necessary. So they filled those judges' offices. Mm-hmm. And the legislature, which is full of lawyers, at any time in the last 150 years could have changed that. They could have said, we want justices of the peace. We want every judge in Texas to be a lawyer, to have a degree in law. But they haven't done that. Right. So justices of the peace and county judges, who are the very first level that people see in the judiciary, don't have to have a degree in law. And I think that says a lot about the character of the people of the state of Texas. And so that's That's a little bit about the office. What do you see as the challenges basically affecting the Justice of the Peace Office from your perspective?
My perspective, I don't believe, and this is just from what I see, it's not that I would say it's a challenge, because everyone who's in office now, they're doing a great job. They've been doing a great job.
Yeah.
I have read where a lot of individuals do not understand the bail. So when bail bond is set, that is a question.
Okay.
And so bond is not set for punishment. That's not what bond is about. Bail bond is it's a promise to appear for the defendant, the person being accused of a crime.
Okay.
So they're, putting down whatever the bond is set as a promise to appear.
Right.
Now, with bond, you have to take in consideration, for one, the crime itself. Mm-hmm. And you have to take in consideration the guidelines from the court. So there's the guidelines from the court, the judges, a magistrate, even the police or the officer taking bond. So there's that to look into. You have to take consideration with that. And then you have the offense itself. You have the you shall protect the victim, especially depending what kind of crime it is, right?
Right.
Of course, you always have a victim. Sometimes it's a state, sometimes it's it's just the person, individual. Okay. So you have to take in consideration the victim, law enforcement, and the community. You also have to look into their criminal history.
Okay.
You have to find out, are they already, are they on bail? Are they out on bond for another crime? Are they repeat offenders? What's their status in the United States? You have to look into that.
Yeah.
Because depending on what their criminal offense is, you go and give them a light bond or bond to where it's like, wait a minute, how can we be reassured that you're going to appear in court?
Right.
Even if you are, let's just say if the individual has their, they're not citizens, right, but they have their permanent resident card.
Okay.
And that's just anywhere.
Yeah.
You have to take in consideration with that, because when you have this crime that you're being charged for, with, and your first thought is, hey, I'm not going to spend time in jail, or I'm going to get deported, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you have to take in consideration the whole totality of the investigation, right? Mm-hmm. And who's involved. So you have to think about all that.
So setting bond is about public safety and in general, and
public safety, law enforcement, and the victim.
And the victim. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a tall order for anybody who would want to be a justice of the peace. We've talked about your background, a little bit about the office, and this is we have a large and growing audience here, and it's the largest one in West Texas, and you need to reach 51% of the voters in Precinct 3, and that's North San Angelo and Northwest San Angelo and Grape Creek and Water Valley and Carlsbad, and in a contested race, voters who are paying attention want to know about the candidates, mm-hmm. and what their experience is, and how they're going to approach the position. Mm-hmm. So this is an open mic and an open question. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to reach a lot of voters, a lot of folks, and you get to. I get to shut up and listen, and you get to tell those voters what you want them to know about Martha Muro running for Justice of the Peace. So this is whatever you want to tell them, for as long as you want to tell them. I'll sit here and look pretty.
So I'm Martha Muro. I'm running for the or candidate for Justice of the Peace Precinct 3. I would like my voters to know that I have experience. I worked side by side with the Justice of the Peace on call when I was a criminal investigator. I have the experience of complaints, of having to read over complaints. What does a complaint require to get an arrest warrant, search warrants. I've had experience with court proceedings. I've been at civil and criminal, both. Testified, witness as a witness and testified in court. I have experience with 10 years of the intellectual disability and mental health. I know that there's going to be times when the Justice of the Peace does have an emergency detention order. I've also have experience with emergency protective orders. I'm bilingual, so I understand that, yes, the majority, they're not, a lot of them speak English, a lot of individuals speak English. There's some individuals that speak, their native language is Spanish, and so they feel more comfortable
Right.
when they can approach someone who speaks their language to better explain what is going on. And so when you have to deal with evictions and tenant issues, when you're being sued in a small claims court,
Right. Yeah.
yes, there will be an interpreter because I may understand Spanish, but the other party may not understand, or the individuals listening may not understand. So yes, an interpreter will be present, but at the same token, they can come to me and I can speak to them,
Okay.
and there's not going to be a barrier.
Very good.
So I have that.
Yeah.
So really, I've had 10 years plus with community involvement. I've always been involved with the community. I always think that you have to give yourself. It's not about you. You got to put yourself out there for people. You got to be available for people.
Yep.
And so working as a volunteer, and right now I'm a board member, I'm a secretary for ICD.
Okay.
I was the president of ICD back in 2015 when they were going to close down the family shelter.
Right.
So I was voted in as president. With the blessings of God, He sent me the correct and right people. And from this day forward, we still have the family shelter open.
Okay.
And that was very important because we have a lot of victims of domestic violence.
Yeah, especially this time of year.
Correct. So I just have so much experience that I can offer, and I want my voters to know that. And so I'm here for them, and I just ask for your vote.
All right, great. Martha Muro, thank you so much.
Yes.
The election is the Republican primary. It is March 1st of 2022, next year. You were in a contested race for Justice of the Peace Precinct 3.
Correct.
And once you get past that, once the primary takes place, with 3 people in the race, there is a possibility of a runoff. That runoff would be in May. And just for the voters, the March primary is to get your name on the general ballot in November, which is kind of confusing for voters. But once you get through the primary, and if there is runoff, you get through the runoff, then you have the general election in November, which in Tom Green County, really, the election is over once the Republican primary is over, because normally there's not a Democrat candidate. There's still time. The 13th of this month is the last day to sign up to run for a spot in the, it's still wide open, so other folks could sign up and run. Today was the first day to put out yard signs.
Yes.
And we're looking for those. And so even though December is a very busy month, this is the first month of a 3-month-long process prior to the election. So wish you well. Thank you for coming in, and we'll visit with you again soon. Martha Muro.
Hey, I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
I will be out for the parade this Saturday
Okay.
for the Christmas lights. Yeah, so I'm going to have a float.
Ah,
So I will be doing some campaigning
and that is
Saturday.
Saturday afternoon?
Yes, probably around in the maybe 6 o'clock or so that I'll
Okay,
begin.
Saturday
whenever
evening.
the
Okay.
Christmas lights. Yes, it's a
Okay.
Christmas light
Very
parade.
good. Very
So
good.
I'll be doing
We're glad
that,
you're
yeah.
going to be there too.
Yes.
And thank you so much. We'll do this again and
great.
with as many candidates as we can. And that gives the voter the best information they have to head to the polls. And that's how this democracy works. So, Martha Muro, thank you for coming in. And
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
For San Angelo Live, I'm Yantis Green. Good job.